Behind the scenes of the global economy, something profound is happening. Apple is shifting part of its iPhone production to India. Samsung has already shut down its mobile operations in China, and dozens of multinational corporations are abandoning what was once the heart of global manufacturing. For decades, China was the industrial empire of the planet. Responsible for nearly 30% of all global output, it produced everything: electronics, textiles, heavy machinery. But now, this empire is facing its greatest collapse. The silent crisis in the world's factory. The main cause of this crisis can be summed up in one sentence: companies are leaving China. But why? First, cheap labor, the biggest asset China had, is no longer cheap. Over decades, hundreds of millions of Chinese people escaped poverty and formed a new middle class. The result? Wages skyrocketed. Today, the average Chinese factory worker earns around $200 per month. In Vietnam, it's $300. In India, even less. The gap is massive. That's why companies like Apple are already shifting part of their production to cheaper countries. In 2025, 20% of all iPhones, worth $22 billion, are now assembled in India. 20 years ago, that number was just 1%. On top of that, Chinese youth are rejecting factory jobs. They prefer working in tech or services. Skilled industrial labor is vanishing. The Chinese government has tried to encourage students to pursue industrial careers, but with little success. Silence, control, and repression. Amid this crisis, criticism of the government is harshly punished. Young people protesting the lack of jobs or poor working conditions face persecution. Being blacklisted in the social credit system can mean losing your home, your job, and your dignity. And to prevent the world from seeing this collapse, the Communist Party invests heavily in censorship, even taking down critical videos on YouTube. So if you can, support this content with a like and a subscription. It helps us break through this wall of silence. The trade war as a catalyst. But China's manufacturing crisis isn't just internal. The trade war with the United States has made things worse. Since 2018, the two countries have been locked in a tariff battle that keeps escalating. In 2025, the U.S. imposed tariffs of up to 245% on Chinese goods. China retaliated with tariffs of up to 125% on American products. This triggered the largest trade conflict of the modern era, causing massive disruptions to global supply chains. The electronics sector was one of the hardest hit. With parts and components becoming more expensive, production costs soared. The result: smartphones, laptops, and gadgets became more expensive, and we, the consumers, are paying the price. And the pandemic, it was the final spark. The collapse didn't start with COVID, but it accelerated everything. The total shutdown of factories during the zero-COVID policy revealed just how dependent the world was on China. When the gears of the world's factories stopped, the entire planet felt the impact. Since then, companies have been looking for alternatives. They no longer want to depend on just one country. The world adapts. This has led to movements like nearshoring, bringing production closer to home, and reshoring, bringing it back entirely. The U.S., for example, now incentivizes domestic production of chips and electronics. Europe is doing the same. But shifting production isn't simple. The infrastructure China built over decades can't be replicated overnight. That's why many companies are adopting the China Plus One resource strategy, keeping some production in China but diversifying to India, Vietnam, or Mexico. Internal and global impact. This manufacturing crisis is deeply affecting China. Manufacturing once made up 30% of China's GDP. Now it accounts for just 26%. That equals a loss of nearly $700 billion in productive value, more than the combined GDP of Bangladesh and Vietnam. Chinese exports fell 8% in 2024, the biggest drop in a decade. Small and medium factories are shutting down. Unemployment in industrial provinces like Guangdong has surpassed 6.5%. The government is trying to respond with subsidies, tech investments, and policies to boost domestic consumption. But the shift is already underway. We're witnessing a structural transformation. The old factory of the world is shrinking, and the new map of global production is still being drawn. The world is changing, and for the first time in decades, China is no longer the center of the machine. China in decline, the new global map of manufacturing. For decades, China was the epicenter of global manufacturing. But now, it's facing its greatest challenge. As its industrial power wanes, a new order is emerging, with Vietnam, India, Mexico, Thailand, and Bangladesh rising to prominence. The world watches as these countries redefine the future of global production. The collapse of Chinese manufacturing. China's global influence was built on manufacturing. Factories, exports, infrastructure, it all revolved around mass production. But that era is coming to an end. China's manufacturing sector is in decline, and without it, China risks losing not only its economic power, but also its ability to project global influence. Who's benefiting from this shift? As Chinese factories shut down, other nations are stepping up. They're not just cheaper, they're more strategic, better prepared, and more aligned with modern global demands. Vietnam, the rising hub. Vietnam has become an industrial powerhouse. By March 2025, it received over $10 billion in foreign direct investment, a 35% increase from the previous year. Lego, Samsung, Intel, LG, Microsoft, and Foxconn have already set up operations in the country. Lego, for instance, is building its first carbon-neutral factory in Vietnam, 100% powered by renewable energy. Samsung now uses Vietnam as one of its main global manufacturing hubs. Beyond tech, Vietnam also dominates in textiles. Brands like Nike, Adidas, and H&M have long relied on Vietnamese production for its competitive costs and consistent quality. India, the emerging giant. With a young population, aggressive policies, and low labor costs, India is attracting major investments. Apple has expanded production there, including its latest iPhone models. Foxconn has poured billions into new facilities. Samsung operates one of the world's largest smartphone factories in Noida. And companies like Dell, HP, and even China's Hero have moved parts of their operations to India. The Indian government offers subsidies, tax cuts, and modern infrastructure. The message is clear. India wants to become the new backbone of global manufacturing. Mexico, the power of proximity. Mexico has a decisive strategic advantage. It borders the United States. Transporting goods from Mexico to the U.S. takes days, compared to weeks from China. This means faster delivery, lower costs, and more reliable supply chains. With wages 44% lower than in China, Mexico is drawing major investments. Tesla, GM, Ford, Flex, and Jabil have all built advanced factories in the country. In addition, the USMCA trade agreement facilitates commerce with the U.S. and Canada, making Mexico even more attractive. Thailand, the silent surprise. Thailand, the second-largest economy in Southeast Asia, is attracting more high-value manufacturing. Sony, Sharp, and China's Jinko Solar have shifted part of their operations there. Thailand AS logistics infrastructure and government incentives for sectors like semiconductors and artificial intelligence make it a long-term bet for global companies. Bangladesh, the textile titan. While others focus on tech, Bangladesh dominates in apparel. With extremely low labor costs, it's become the second-largest clothing exporter in the world, only behind China. Representing 80% of its national exports, Bangladesh's textile industry is stable, efficient, and reliable. Now, the country is starting to diversify and attract investment in other sectors, which could further expand its global presence. The new era of manufacturing. This global migration is about more than geopolitics. It's about technology. Automation and artificial intelligence are reshaping the factories of the future. Smart factories now optimize production in real time. AI predicts failures, manages inventory, and boosts efficiency. This levels the playing field. Countries with modern factories can compete, even with fewer workers. The new game board of global production. China's manufacturing crisis is redrawing the world's economic map. Companies now seek not just lower costs, but resilience, sustainability, and flexibility. Vietnam offers agility. India offers scale. Mexico offers strategic access. Thailand offers innovation. And Bangladesh offers unbeatable efficiency in textiles. Global production no longer belongs to just one country. We are witnessing a new era, decentralized, technological, and strategic. The world is adapting, and those who don't keep up will be left behind. If you enjoyed this content and want to stay updated on the forces reshaping the global economy, subscribe to the channel and leave a like on this video. It helps us deliver even deeper, more relevant analysis to you. See you in the next video.